This is the Real Estate Investing 365 podcast, your go-to source for real estate investing strategies so you can start living the life you want and get where you want to go. With your host, Justin Hanna.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Investing 365. I'm here with my buddy, Jesse Burrell. He's out of Phoenix, Arizona. He is the co-founder and owner of Batch Skip Tracing. He's also the owner of Higher Offer Acquisitions, and he's an agent at Stunning Homes Realty in Phoenix. What's up, Jesse? How's it going?
Justin, what's going on, buddy? Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I'm happy you're here. You're a wealth of knowledge. You've been in this for a while and made a big name of yourself. So why don't we just dive right in? Give me a little history of you, where you come from, and then we'll dive into how you got started in the real estate industry.
Okay. So like where I come from, like just a background where I'm from and everything?
Yeah.
Cool. From Washington State, graduated high school there, did a community college there, and then moved down here to Arizona when I was like 24 and finished up school there for professional golf management. I wanted to be a golf instructor once upon a time.
Okay. You just hopes and dreams of playing in the PGA or what?
Not really. I was never that good. I played a little bit of JUCO, but more or less, I love golf. I love playing golf, and I like helping people. Now I get to do it, in a different vessel. Yeah. But I've always liked teaching and helping, and at that time in my life, golf was what was, my passion.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I kind of like golf, except for the fact that 9 out of 10 times I'm horrible. But it's those one shots. It's kind of like a drug addiction, those one shots that are good that just keeps you coming back over and over again. It's kind of
absolutely one of those things. I get it for sure.
Yeah. So then, how did you get started in real estate? Did you grow up around real estate? Do you have family in real estate, or how did that come about?
My parents always owned like one rental property, but not really. When I got into real estate, I didn't even know what an escrow was. I didn't know what an earnest money check was. I just knew it sounded kind of cool. So no background in real estate. I was just finishing up my 4-year degree at ASU, and I'd done a bunch of internships for all the golf stuff. And ultimately what happened was the grind was horrible. To become a decent teacher is going to take you 3, 4, 5, 6 years to be working 50, 60 hours a week to make $100,000. And I just thought there was a better way. And my thought process was I'd rather belong to a country club than work at one. So I started looking around, and my friend offered me a job with a real estate investor who she was working for at the time. And I took that and kind of just started running with it.
So you got the job as like an intern, just kind of learning the ropes, or what?
So what this guy was doing, he was Israeli, and he would fix and flip homes. And then he had a bunch of Israeli friends that would buy. This was in 13, 14, they were buying houses in Phoenix and turning them into rentals because they're still so cheap. So I helped a little bit on the property management side, not too much, but I know it and I hate it. So I know that much.
Yeah.
And then what my job all day, so it wasn't an internship, it was a paid job, was literally, I didn't realize how important it was, but my job was to look for fix and flips all day. So I was pretty much an underwriter / acquisition person, and didn't even know it. I was just looking for the owner at that time you could still find some short sales, some pre-foreclosures. And so I just scour the MLS every day and call agents and try to negotiate deals. And then I go learn the rehab costs and see what flips look like. And I did that for a year, and I didn't make very much money, but I learned a ton.
Right. No, definitely. I think those jobs are kind of the benefit of those is the education process that you get out of it. You're not going to get paid a lot, but as long as you have a good person you're working for, a good mentor, man, I mean, you obviously built a whole career off of that, what you learned in that year, right? So that seemed to work out. Okay, so you did that for a year. You're kind of learning, and is it one of those things where you see, man, these guys are making a ton of money. I ain't making anything doing this hardly, so I want to do what they're doing. And then you moved into that?
Not really. So he kind of exited the Phoenix market a little early, so they started selling the rentals. And then, finding stuff on the MLS was starting to dry up. So I was getting my real estate license. So I was just going to become a traditional agent and then still have them as investors. So if I found them deals, I would just, be an agent on it. And then the girl that brought me in to work with them, her name's Danielle. And what we decided to do was 6 months after I got laid off, I pretty much had to go back to serving tables for 2 months. I just bought my first house and got laid off. So I was like, uh-oh. So I was like, okay, I'll go serve some tables. And while I was building my pipeline in traditional real estate, and my second month, I got 2 closings, third month, 3 closings. And I got fired from the restaurant because all I would talk about was real estate. And but luckily the month I got fired from that job, I was going to make like 15 or 20 grand in traditional. And then me and her were looking for properties and off market and starting to go that strategy. And we met up with a buddy named Jared, and we decided to create a wholesale company. We started just learning and reading about it. That was before it was super popular. You know, I think I was 14 or maybe 15. So we literally bought a mailing machine and started mailing. So we just partnered up together, pulled some money together, and did like 20,000 mailers or something like that. Got started. Like we had no clue what we're doing.
This is all around the Phoenix area.
Yeah, we started in the Phoenix area. We ended up going nationwide about a year later, but that's a different story for sure.
Okay, cool. So you become an agent. So we'll touch on that real quick. Do you think it's beneficial for people to get their agent license or to stay non-agent and then just maybe bring in an agent down the road?
It depends. You know, I wanted to start doing, I don't know. I think it's good depending on the state you live in. I don't know laws and regulations for every state, but for here, you know, if we found a deal that was like a wholesale type deal, which I've done before, you know, then we wrap my commission into, you know, the company's profits or something like that. So, and it's just a way for you to make a little bit more money. And then you have friends and family every now and again. I don't personally do that anymore, but you know, when I was getting started, and then also wholesale deals, when someone wants retail, offer them another solution. If they want to list the home for them. You're still going to make money.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's kind of what I think too. I mean, I think in the beginning, when trying to build the business, it's good to have your agent license. I think to kind of, you can save some money on the back end, and you learn the deal, you learn the process more, and you have, you know, access to other things that regular people don't. But as you get further along, that's something you probably want to hire out and, you know, bring on an agent maybe to take those roles out, because you got bigger fish to fry, I guess, than selling some houses. So, so cool. You guys started this wholesale company. It was kind of just bootstrapping it from nothing. But you mentioned that you bought a mailing machine.
Just not like a big one. We just bought a machine that you could rip off. It was probably like $1,200, and we didn't know what we're doing, so we were slapping on. We didn't go through like Yellow Letters HQ or yellowletters.com. We literally printed them off, hand wrote all the envelopes, the envelopes we figured out something, but like we had to lick every single I mean, it was brutal. We were up till 4 a.m. doing this stuff, putting out bandit signs. Like when people say like, oh, well, what have you done since, you know, I tell my employees what to do now, or my team. And I was like, I did all of it. I put out bandit signs, you know, we were mailers. I went on appointments. I've sold deals. I've done marketing. I've done everything. So I know what they're feeling or what they're going through in certain situations, to sometimes be sympathetic to them or understand, you know, their feelings on something instead of just acting, you know, as the higher up. I try and look at it through their eyes as well.
Yeah, no, definitely understand that. So when you guys first got started, you just started with direct mail, or were you doing cold calling, or at what point?
That was before, man. Like no one was doing it yet.
Right.
So it was direct mail and bandits. And then what we did is we early adopted PPC when it still wasn't expensive. Mm-hmm. And we decided to go nationwide for like a cheaper blended cost. It was probably a mistake, to be honest with you, but I got to wholesale in 40 states. Like I dispositioned in 40 different states. So it was very inefficient trying to learn a new market, not having, you know, building out buyers lists, but we figured it out for a while and made it work for about a year. And then we scaled back to 5 markets and then 3 markets. And then at that point, I got bought out of the company. My 2 other partners started dating, and we both had different like visions, still great friends, but I got bought out and then went out on my own for 2.5 years on my own wholesale operation.
Okay. So you were kind of like, you were at the tip of the spear as far as the wholesaling thing goes. How did you, because now there's all these companies, kind of like your company, right? Like Batch, Skip Tracing, and all these different companies that can find data sets and lists and all this stuff. How did you guys find the list of properties when you first got started?
ListSource and REWW was the two biggest ones out there at the time, was who we were using for lists. And then Skip Tracing, we got on that TLO bandwagon before they kicked everybody off of, using it.
Uh-huh.
So, we implemented cold calling pretty early, but we were really heavy. We stopped mailing and stopped bandits. We were PPC only for over a year.
Oh, okay. So why did you stop doing PPC? Because I'm sure that just the cost got too much or the return wasn't very good.
Well, when I got bought out of the company, they built such a large machine that our lead was down and there's a lot of organic traffic with SEO. So when I got bought out, I went strictly to cold calling only, because how I had my guys set up was they got 25% a deal, but they had no salary. So it was low overhead and high profits. And then I was flipping when I went out on my own. So my goal was to flip 15 houses by myself and wholesale like 70 deals. And I hit that goal. And I just wanted cheap overhead. So if we had a bad month, I wasn't paying a bunch of salaries or had a bunch of expenses. And that's how I kind of did it, because we wasted money at the other company that I own with the other two. So I went like too far in the other direction. I think it was one of the mistakes I made, was I got too lean because we were so careless with the other company.
Okay. So, well, then we'll kind of dig in on that a little bit. So when you left this company or you got bought out from your share, it was going great. It was just that your visions were kind of like going opposite directions. So you decided to start your own company, and your goal was 15 houses in the first year. And that was just going to be in the Phoenix market.
Yeah. So 15 houses to flip. And I think my goal was 70 wholesale deals. So flip 15 houses by myself and wholesale 70. And I think I ended at like 63 or 65 wholesales, and I flipped 12 homes. So pretty close to what I wanted to get to.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay. So I guess your primary business is the wholesaling part.
It was. Now it's kind of flip-flopped a little bit.
So now you're doing more flips than wholesales?
No, I'm more on the data side. We have a bunch of data companies. So I personally don't run our day-to-day wholesale operation anymore. My new partners, one of them does. Sorry, this is a super confusing story. I apologize.
Oh yeah. No problem. No, it kind of makes sense. I mean, you were an agent, and then you went from an agent to a wholesaling company with partners. You built that up. You separated, went out on your own, started your own flipping and wholesaling company, and then you also started your
the data company.
Data company.
Our data companies, and then about 8 months ago, so the two partners I did the data company with, we each owned a separate wholesale company. So I had mine, they had theirs, and we owned the data stuff together. 6 months ago, we finally got to a point to where it was too difficult, and we combined everything together. So now I have two business partners again to help run everything. And I didn't want to do the day-to-day operations in wholesale, so one of our agreements was one of them would be running it. So I've just been doing it for 5 years, and it burnt me out. And I wanted something new to go after, and helping people, find the right data and giving them good data and kind of coaching them through everything has been what my passion is. It kind of leads back to the teaching with golf. That's what I love to do. And they were nice enough to give me the opportunity to be helping people more than stuck in a day-to-day operation.
Right. All right, cool. I mean, yeah, you got a ton going on, but that's freaking awesome. I want to touch on, so can we kind of walk through a step of, if there was somebody that wanted to get into the wholesaling business, and let's say they're in a pretty crowded market, because obviously Phoenix is like a busy and hot and competitive market. So, how would somebody first start doing it? You think bandit signs still, or do you think direct mails, or should they hire a VA for cold calling, or should they cold call? What's kind of the first step?
I would say it depends on how much they have, but even if you don't have very much, I would say, depending on the state, RVM or text message is a great way. RVM's the easiest way because you send out, voice drops. So ringless voicemails is what I'm talking about. And, people are going to call you back. You could send it to an answering machine. And if you have a full-time job, you could check those messages when you get off work and call these people back. You don't have to have anybody doing that for you.
So RVM is like you record yourself like, hello, I'm calling about your property and I'm interested in buying it, da 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 da, and it's just a recorded thing, and you send it out to 10,000 phone numbers,
right,
or whatever you want, and then so that's good. It's kind of like a direct mail, except everybody checks their phone, so they're going to hear it, and then you're only getting semi-warm calls back, either pissed off, I guess, calls, or semi-warm calls back.
Yeah, but it's a passive way to where, you send them, when they call you back, you're like, hey, sorry, I'm on the other line. If you leave me your property address and phone number, I'll call you back, and hopefully we could, give you an offer today, or however you want to say that. But if you have a full-time job, that's the easiest way to have passive leads coming in. Mm-hmm. And then if you're doing text message, you either have to hire a VA to manage those for you. But if you're new and don't have a lot of money, with a lot of the text message platforms, you could allocate time. So like when you get home from 5 to 7 p.m. or something, you could have text messages going out that you're monitoring and responding to people. So it's just making the time and the effort. But those are the two cheapest sources. You get the list, skip trace it, and it's going to cost you a couple cents for a text or a couple cents for RVM. And that's just a really good way to utilize bootstrapping these days, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. So that's a good way to get the properties coming into you. So do you think people should build their buyers list first, or do you think they should try to find their properties first, and then once they get that, build a buyers list?
That's an absolutely wonderful question. So I have a strong opinion on this, actually.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell people not to get started that are new to not start marketing, but in my opinion, you should really start reverse wholesaling. So finding, like, you don't know where to market to, you're new. So start talking to buyers, find out where most of the buyers are buying in, find out what type of houses they're looking for, find out what prices they're paying, and then from there, you can start marketing to them. So I think building a buyers list first is actually the way to go.
Okay. Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And that's come up before, and people always say, well, then how do I really get the buyers list? Like, how do I know the people? But I guess a good way is, like real estate meetups, getting out there, getting on forums and different types of things, Facebook groups. Is that what you would recommend?
Yeah. I mean, you could pull a buyers list, from different sources, but you don't have a relationship with those buyers. So if you do something like that, either send them an email or send them a text saying, hey, I'm a cash buyer. I wholesale deals to investors. Do you want to be on my list? Like, people having a big list doesn't always mean you have a good list. Like, you want to know the people that are on your list, or a lot of them. But yeah, Facebook's, RIAs, bigger pockets, finding, buy and hold investors are the best investors. If you're in a market to where people do Airbnbs, these people pay retail for Airbnb homes. They're going to pay more than anybody else. Be creative and, find good buyers. You just need a handful of real buyers to start, and then you can start building your list. But get a good solid handful and understand your market through them, and then start marketing, and then build it, as you're marketing. But, you could start with niche stuff and only target certain zip codes to where you have buyers at. You don't have to just, blanket a whole area and just hope and pray you find a buyer. There's some strategy you could put to this for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. And do you think people, if they're going to, a lot of people don't have a lot of money these days, it kind of seems like anyway, especially the younger generation that wants to get into this. I guess do you think they should get started in wholesaling first, or should they try to start flip a property, and like with where the market's at and all this stuff? What do you think, wholesaling versus flipping?
Well, most of these people don't have the money to flip, so naturally you have to start wholesaling.
Yeah.
And wholesaling is a good way to start learning rehab costs and learning, when you sell a property to somebody, okay, this is what I sold it to them for. This is what they resold it for. Call them up. How much did it cost for you to rehab it? What numbers did you make? Like, at the beginning, I wouldn't recommend anybody to flip, because that's a lot of money and it's a lot of risk, and people will take advantage of you, especially if you don't have contractors or subs, or have a trusted person to to do that stuff for you. Like wholesaling is the greatest entry to really learn, but you have to learn it. You can't just start throwing random rehab numbers when you put put a property out to market. Like if you don't know, call somebody, be like, how much do you think this needs? And you're probably going to think it's high, but they're probably going to be right, is probably how it's going to happen.
Right. Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. A lot of people, it seems, are afraid to ask, like feel dumb or feel new or whatever, but you have to. And I kind of agree with you on the flipping thing is like, you can go out there, but if you don't have any experience in construction or like with doing real estate, period, man, like those costs can be overrun quickly. You know what I mean? They can add up and you get yourself in a bind in no time.
But if you don't know your numbers too, a wholesaler, a lot of them are smooth talkers, and they're going to talk you into a bad deal that, hey, your rehab's this. That's the funny thing is like when someone sends me a deal and they give me rehab, I'm like, how many houses have you flipped? None. Okay, so your numbers are wrong. But to a new person that just started flipping, they're going to trust somebody that may not be trustworthy on accurate numbers. And I've had a few friends get into some bad deals. And a lot of people will only buy flips from me, like through my just social friends, because they trust me, that they went down that other path, and they know if I'm going to sell them a deal, it's going to be a deal because I flipped a lot of homes. I could walk them through rehab costs and holding costs and make sure you have your insurance costs and all the little things that everybody forgets about. I put in a pro forma for them to what I think it's going to look like for them. Obviously it's not perfect, I'm giving them my opinion, but they trust it.
Right. No, yeah, definitely. How can somebody kind of learn a market that's how do they learn what the ARV of a house is going to be, and what the purchase price should be, and what their percentages of purchase price minus ARV, ARV minus the repair cost and their profit and overhead? How can somebody learn all that information about a market?
I mean, you can find a lot of it on YouTube, but a lot of it is just like what I did for my first year. You just have to underwrite a shitload of deals. It's just practice. There's no fast way to do it because each property is unique. Every property is different. You have to get a feel for the area. It's just practice. So it's just literally like everybody that get on a bunch of wholesale lists and just start underwriting properties and figuring out what you should be paying for them, even if you're not buying them. It's just a good way to practice and really learn, what you need to know, and talk to the big wholesalers and figure out, what percentage they're selling at, before repairs, and just, network and talk to people as much as you can, man. There's a lot of knowledge out there. You just have to go after it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it's a lot of good information. And so let's, we could dive in on that, and that could be a whole nother 10 episodes on its own. I mean, the wholesaling intricacies, but really the point of that is like, if you're going to do it, you just need to get started, and you actually have to go out there and like boots on the ground, do the research, start talking to people, going to meetups, getting in Facebook groups or whatever, and then like interacting with people so you start learning the market, and then underwriting deals. Like the more deals you underwrite, the more you're going to get familiar, the quicker you're going to be able to do it. Then all of a sudden it'll become like intuitive over time, right? Cool. And then, so now your data company, Batch Skip Tracing, why don't you tell me a little bit about that? Like what is Batch Skip Tracing, or whatever data services you guys offer?
So we offer quite a few now. It's been really growing, innovating. But so Batch Skip Tracing is, a skip tracing company. For those that are listening that don't know, is you provide a list that you can get from ListSource or REWW or PropStream. We have a service, Batch Real Estate Lists, as well. You provide that list to us, and we provide phone numbers for you to cold call, ringless voicemail, or text message. So we're just providing the homeowner's information to where you could try and market to them through telecommunications. And then from there, I don't want to get too deep into it, but we have a list stacking software, lead stacking software, to where it's a data management tool to kind of see all the different lists once you've grown and gotten bigger. It's pretty much, you can see someone that's on, that's vacant with high equity, that's tax default. We have a software to where you could start identifying very, very particular people and, highly target and market a little bit differently, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just like even more in-depth targeting, like on multifamily, they have like Reonomy, right? Like Reonomy now seems to be coming out with some cooler stuff that you can like really dig into, and it's more intuitive and flowful than like CoStar was or is or whatever, you know what I mean? And just
Yeah.
newer things. So what type of lists do you find that people should be looking for? I mean, there's like high equity or list properties that have been owned for a long time or probate. What's types of lists that people should be pulling?
So I actually had a conversation with a newer guy today. He's got a couple deals and he's like, okay, what big list should I pull to start with? He's like, I want to make a $5,000 investment on skip tracing today. And I was like, what I would do is I told him to get 40,000 and pick the zip codes, 40,000 records of high equity, anything 50%, loan to value or 0 to 50% loan to value. And then what I told him to do from there is put it into our lead stacking software, because what's really cool about that is it's going to turn it into 3 lists. So we have a vacancy check on in our lead stacker. So we'll show them all the stuff that's vacant, and that's tied into the USPS. And then it also shows you all the absentee owners. So one list just gave him 3 lists to start targeting. And then if he wants to put those to see what's vacant, high equity, and absentee, then he could create another list out of it. So it's a really creative way to create a bunch of lists out of one by using our software. And he's super excited, and I kind of just helped him through the strategy of it. And he has 2 full-time cold callers, and he wanted to keep them busy for the next 4 to 6 weeks. And this is what he decided to do. And that's probably the strategy I give to people right now, because it's a way to get multiple lists out of one list.
Right. Okay, cool. Do you guys work in all states, or there's only a certain number of states you guys are active in?
Nope, all 50.
All 50 states, huh? Okay. Because I know some of the states, like Idaho, where I'm at, has a lot of, it's a non-disclosure state. So a lot of the information isn't like publicly available,
Right.
But
that's something we kind of touched on about a little bit. And I haven't looked into like the list that you could get, as I said, but I mean, yeah, that's a conversation for off camera for sure, because I want to help you kind of dive into that and see if we could find a solution on how you could get some good data sets.
Yeah, no, that could be cool, because there's a few, I think there's 5 states out there that are like that, like non-disclosure.
Yeah.
And that, if you can crack that code, I mean, it's not a gigantic market, but it's definitely, a barrier to entry that could be good to go. So, well, that's cool. So where are you at in your real estate portfolio right now? Do you own properties yourself? And what is your wholesaling company? What kind of numbers are you guys doing this year?
Okay. So, me and my 2 partners, we bought a commercial building this year, did about a $250,000 renovation. We occupy about half of it, and then we have some tenants in the other half. And then the studio you see right here, we built out as well. So we're in the process of refinancing that. And then I own 3 duplexes, and I also have a note. So I bought a mobile home with land and put a note on it with a 30-year AM that I'm holding. So I have that. And then on the wholesale side, we're doing about 4 or 5 flips a month or at a time, 1 to 3 close a month. And then we're doing right around 10 deals. We'll do a little over $1 million in assignments this year. And then I don't know, we just started ramping up the flipping again. We'll probably do 25 or 30 flips this year, maybe.
Okay. And the flips, how long is your usual holding time for a flip from the time you close on the property till the time you fix it and close again?
We try to be like 90 days or less. But if we're taking a big project, that's going to be, 2 full months. So we do a lot of easy stuff, lipstick remodels that we could buy deep, and then, get every single dollar we can on the back end. Like we bought one and put $2,000 into it and made 40 grand. So just stuff like that, to where lipstick stuff. But we do a little bit we have 2 full rehabs that we have coming up right now that will probably be 4 months close to close, give or take.
Sweet. Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, what do you think about, so this is what I've been trying to ask people more recently, just because I've got quite a bit of questions on it on social media, is like, everybody's worried about the economy and where everything's at. Phoenix is obviously on the uptick, and it has been for years. I mean, it's one of the hottest markets in the country. Where do you think it's going, and do you think it's continued to rise, and there's still a lot of room for flipping and stuff if people get into that?
So for Phoenix, I mean, there's no inventory right now, and a lot of people are moving here from other states. I believe 400 people are moving here a day.
Jeez.
So we have, I think, a month of inventory on the MLS, like literally. And so we have like 12 to 15,000 actives or something like that. In a healthy market, we're at 30 to 35. So in Phoenix, I'm personally not scared. I'm actually, I'm super excited. It's the first podcast I've been able to talk about it, but we're developing 19 single family. So we're doing a community. It's about a $5 or $6 million build out and $11 million sellout. So if I didn't believe in the economy, I'm not going to be putting that type of money up, but it's our first development project. Small community, build the roads, the gates, the lights, everything. So HOA, and we close on it in 3 weeks, and it'll be a year that we have to be horizontal, for getting all the permits and building the roads and, getting ready to build up. And then, so it's probably not the best time to start, like at the election time next year is when we're going to start building up, but we don't have any inventory, and I'm not going to base stuff on fear. And I just don't see the economy in Phoenix, at least, just if we have some type of dip, maybe 5-10%, we're projecting 25% profit. So, worst case, we hold it a little longer and we don't make as much. But I think everybody keeps just thinking about the biggest crash since 1930. That was in 2008. That's probably not going to happen again in their lifetime. I can't promise anything, but people just remember the most recent thing. That's never happened before, ever. So the odds of that happening 10 years later for the next cycle, I'll take my chances.
Right. And that's the thing too, is I always tell people, it's like, look, like we're judging it based on this gigantic crash that happened. But like realistically, it was hit super hard in just a few areas throughout the country. But overall, like I think the average housing value only really fell like nationwide, something like, I forget the number, 12% or something like that.
I think it was like 20, maybe, I thought, but
it wasn't a lot. But either way, if you build that buffer in, you know what I mean? And the chances of it happening again, like you're saying, are slim to none. And if it does, I think maybe we have bigger problems and worrying about that. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah.
So now you kind of touched real quick on what the direction you're headed. You're getting into some development. Is there any other things on the horizon where you and your wholesaling company or your data service company, where you guys are headed, or big things that are coming down the pipeline?
I mean, the wholesale company is still going to be, finding us fix and flips and doing wholesales, but we're going to start looking for, bigger pieces of land. I think our company is going to start heading towards developing apartments in, communities. So I don't know how long our wholesale will be around for, to be completely honest with you. It will probably be repurposed into more of like a development company, but maybe, I don't know. That's kind of the vision I see for it. But that could be a couple of years down the road, depending on what the economy looks like. As you said, if the economy crashes, then absolutely wholesale all day and find a bunch of hedge funds and start slinging them properties because they're going to want to get rentals at discounts. So it depends what the market's doing. And then for the data side, we're just continually innovating stuff to where, we have a text message platform coming out. As I said, we have list stacking built into, or one of our products, and then the SMS will be built into that. We have instant skip tracing that we just rolled out yesterday, to where people upload a list and press a button and they're going to have their records back in 10 minutes or less, like just sitting there waiting for them. So just continue to work on finding out what the real estate wholesalers want and trying to create products and services that, make them happy and their lives more convenient.
Yeah, no, for sure. Are you guys building all these software programs like internally, or do you guys contract them out?
Yeah. I mean, we have about 10 developers that work for us full time. So we're not white labeling anything. We're building our own stuff. We've spent about, $400,000 or $500,000 in R&D and developing this year. So it's something that we take seriously, and we want to be known as the best for the data provide and the systems we provide for that data. And it's important to us. And we have a huge customer service team that is in our office. They're Americans. They understand wholesaling. Everybody that is currently on the team has done wholesaling before. So they're able to help new investors too, because they've done it. And then they know what we're doing day to day because our wholesale operations in the same building. So we've been really big on really trying to create a customer service and culture for people that use this. That's none other than anybody else.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And you started that company by yourself, or you have a partner?
I have the two partners. We're partners on everything. Their name, Annie and Evo Dragonoff is their name. And yeah, we created the data company about 2 years ago now, and it's been a crazy ride. It's been super fun.
Yeah, that's the one thing about real estate that I always liked, or a lot of people seem to be drawn towards, is that just because you get into one thing, one niche of like wholesaling properties, doesn't mean there's a huge like upward trajectory and tree branches that go out all over the place, because you never know what other things you can get into. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure when you were doing your golfing stuff and you started in real estate, you never thought that you'd be the co-founder and owner of this now data company that's doing skip tracing and all this stuff, right? You have no idea, but that's just kind of how if you're a hustler and go getter, that's kind of how the real estate industry works, right?
But it's been the other thing I want to give a little golden nugget is we do a ton of collaboration with people. So I want the people that are coming up to understand that like your competition could be your collaboration too, helping each other, actually telling each other your secrets, and having your own companies grow, and being able to collaborate on other stuff outside of just the wholesale operations, doing some flips together. Like the development project, I partnered with a buddy. It's not just us doing it. My buddy's like, hey, I need some money. And I was like, hey, I want to get into this. If I could raise the money for you, can I be an equity partner? And he's like, absolutely. And it's just finding, what do you need? He's like, I need money and I need help with some subs. Luckily, we've built some new construction. So I'm like, we got some good subs. I could find you the money. This is something I really want to learn. And now I'm owning, a good chunk of a development project that's going to start in 3 weeks, just by, finding a solution for a buddy of mine and then figuring out a way to work together. Like
yeah,
the opportunities come across all the time. People just don't try and find them.
Right. That scarcity mindset, I think, is the thing that a lot of people have, and they need to kind of get away from, and be abundance. That there's so much deals out there. There's so much stuff out there that just try to help as much as possible. Right.
Dude, I live by that philosophy. I try and help as much as I can, and I get stuff brought to me, and I bring stuff to people, and it's totally changed my life just with my mindset on helping and getting help. And then also just, my wealth is, once I started thinking this way, has just went through the roof, and it's just thinking differently, and, sharing and helping and collaborating. There's no trick to it. You just do it and believe in it and truly believe in it. And it's a crazy, crazy powerful message.
No, I agree. Trying to share as much as possible is definitely the key. I mean, part of the reason I started this, well, two things. One, part of the reason you're here is because you're wanting to help me, and that I'm not a 10,000 listener per episode podcast yet, but you're doing it here, and that's another reason I started the podcast too. It's like try to help people and talk to a lot of people and expand the knowledge out there. So yeah, no, I totally am on board with the same thing you're saying there. What's a favorite resource that you like, because you've gotten all these things without ever really knowing? Like, you didn't really know about real estate when you got into real estate, didn't know about data companies or software companies or anything when you got into that. What's your favorite resource to learn about, let's say, real estate? Is it like podcasts, books, seminars? What do you like to do?
Oh, that's a tough one. All the above.
Yeah.
I like to listen to a ton of audibles. It just gets my mind racing. I'm not a huge podcast person. I'm sorry to say that since I'm on your podcast, but I like to go to seminars, or have mentors, and I like to read. So if I want to learn something, I want to learn about negotiating, never split the difference. Because on these podcasts, like, they're great if you want, little bits and pieces, but like, if we're talking about sales training on this podcast or a different one, someone's going to give you a little bit, right? But if you read the book, you're going to get all the meat and potatoes. And I like to sit there and dive in and take my own interpretation of it, instead of just getting a little bit of bits and pieces. I like to dive into books, like the Go Giver book. That's about abundance mindset. You have, speaking in front of large crowds has been an issue for me, and I have to get on stages now. So I've found a couple books from some mentors of mine, because yes, they could tell me something, but reading the book, I just think you're going to get more than somebody, telling you a synopsis of what they read. It's just, it's different.
Yeah, no, I agree. The podcasts are kind of like, you'll learn little things and tips and tricks along the way, but they're kind of like the little like motivation, like, come on, we're doing it, this is the amp up thing.
I'd say like 1 podcast to 3 books would be a good ratio, because you get something you get excited about from the podcast, but now go learn what they told you to go learn about. Like, I read all these books. Like, I'm telling you about them now. Go read them, and then you're going to be able to interpret them and understand them. You're just getting, the summarized version of how I interpreted it.
Right.
You need to do the work yourself.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you mentioned mentorships. Are you talking about mentors as far as like people that you meet at the local RIA and in your local area, or is like a paid mentorship through these people that are online?
I've talked to a lot of people about this, and I even do it, is you have to pay for mentorship, or else you don't treat it the same as if somebody gives it to you for free. So I went back and forth on, charging for my time, not charging for my time. Every time I've charged for my time, people have done something with it than people that I've given free advice to. It's just, you treat it differently, because that payment is accountability. And I pay for that accountability with my mentors too. And I pay a lot of money because I want to really listen and implement what they are teaching and telling me. If it's free, you could read a ton of books on this. If it's free, you just treat it differently, and you're not held accountable for it. So I pay for mentorship. We probably spend between $50,000 and $100,000 a year on mentorship. And when people want, for me for free, I'm just like, I still pay for it,
Right.
And most of the time, the people that won't pay for it, they're not really serious about what they're trying to do. They're just trying to ask anybody and everything and try and steal time from people and never implement it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree. And, part of the thing is there's been those scammers out there that kind of have taken advantage through these big, you go to these huge seminars or whatever, these little mentor things, and you get there and you pay to get there, and then they're just trying to upsell you all the time. But how can somebody try to like differentiate, like, this guy's going to be a good mentor versus this guy's just a jack off, you know what I mean?
You can't just jump into something immediately. You have to feel somebody out, see if they're fit. Don't go to a seminar and pay for somebody's mentorship. Like, that's somebody selling you. You need to find someone that's a fit and someone you believe in, and then make sure a bunch of other people can vouch for, their mentorship. Not online reviews, like personally talk to people on what did that program mean to you? Or if you see people that have reviews or have post reviews, DM them and be like, what did you love about this? Or what did you not like about it? People just are so quick to jump into something that, and these $30,000, $40,000 mentorships are, I'm not going to sit here and bash them, but, most of the people that charge those don't fulfill them. I know a few people that have definitely made that worth the money, but a lot of the big guru names, it's, it should be a $5,000 mentorship at most, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with you on those points as well. So what's a program or a software that you guys use in the wholesaling company that makes it just run real smooth and much smoother than it was before?
I don't want to plug my own product, but Batch Lead Stacker has been a game changer. I have a lot of people that really, really love it. And it's probably the thing we use the most in our operation, because you're able to manage all your data. Let's say you have 1,000 Excel sheets or 50 Excel sheets. You put them all into one resource, and then you're able to list stack them. You're able to put marketing campaigns together. It's just a tool to stay organized. It's really helped us, target certain type of lists, and then make sure, we're staying on top of our marketing, because we could tag it, here's our new list. Week 1, we're cold calling. We could set a reminder same day for next week to send out a text message campaign. You could create all these tasks and reminders to stay organized. And the hardest thing on marketing is to be consistent and stay organized. So it's been a really good tool for us, to be completely honest with you. And then the other tool, this isn't a must-have tool. I just think it's important, but you have to have a CRM. So you have to have some type of Podio or something like that. If you're just working off, if you're real new and just working off Excel, go get a Podio. It's really cheap, and you can find YouTube videos and free apps to at least make it workable to where you have a good CRM to where you can follow up properly with your leads.
Yeah. No, the follow-up's key, right? Because nobody's going to just sell you their house on the very first little contact, most of the time anyways, right? It's going to be
99% of the time, 99.5 or something like that.
Yeah, it's like the, sixth or seventh follow-up that you end up getting somebody, or 6 months down the road or something, so.
Right.
Cool. Well, Jesse, I appreciate you being here. Where can people find out more about you, your companies, what you're doing, or if they want to, be mentored by you or somebody else, where can they find that info out?
So Instagram is my first and last name, Jesse Burrell. So Instagram's the easiest way. You can find me on Facebook pretty easily. And then, yeah, those are probably the two easiest ways to get a hold of me are those two. I'm pretty good about answering stuff on social media. I try to get back to everybody the same day. I just get quite a bit of, DMs and Facebook messages. But I'm pretty good about, responding as soon as I can.
Cool. Well, right on, Jesse. I appreciate that. This is good information. Like we said, good starting point. And then go out, guys, take action on what Jesse said. Read these books, start talking to people, find a mentor, and then start making it happen. So, Jesse, I appreciate you being here, man. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate you.
All right, man. Have a good day.
You too.